Welcome to Beyond the Trailer's coverage of the 2015 Academy Awards, giving you an in-depth look at the top categories. And Best Actor is chock full of audience favorites. Talk about a Sophie's Choice. I'm sure the Academy is having a hard time choosing a winner, and I bet you will too in Beyond the Trailer's annual Oscar poll. Whomever you decide to vote for, you can do so via the link in the video description. Now let's take a closer look at these nominees.
Steve Carell, Foxcatcher.
Many comedians, once they make it big, want to prove they have a serious side too. Don't forget the famous image of the sad clown. Sometimes those who make us laugh the hardest feel the most pain. With Steve Carell, perhaps still most famous for heading up the American version of The Office, for a while there he seemed to be following in the footsteps of Jim Carrey, respected for his dramatic work but not recognized by the Academy. But at least Carrey won 2 Golden Globes for Man on the Moon and The Truman Show. Carell has a Golden Globe as well for his work on The Office, but despite being nominated for an Emmy 6 times, Carell never actually won one for his role as Michael Scott. But I bet even just this Oscar nomination makes up for that. This puts Carell in Robin Williams territory, as the comedian was nominated 3 times before winning for Good Will Hunting in 1998. Carell almost certainly won't win here, yet with this nomination and all his Despicable Me money, he certainly finds his career at an interesting fork in the road. What kind of movies will he focus on going forward? And boy, it's tough to decide which Daily Show alum has gone the furthest, huh?
Bradley Cooper, American Sniper.
Tom Hardy has never been nominated for an Oscar. Michael Fassbender and Benedict Cumberbatch just one apiece. But Bradley Cooper is on his 3rd. Technically his 4th, as Cooper is one of the producers on American Sniper and would also take home an Oscar if the film wins in that category. Yes, it would seem Cooper is on a mission to win one of these Golden Boys, much like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, Pitt winning his last year for, what do you know, producing 12 Years a Slave. But it's also worth noting that Cooper's nominations have been consecutive, perhaps building momentum for a win? And a win here for Cooper isn't impossible, as American Sniper has become not just a national phenomenon, but also a worldwide one, with moviegoers even in Iraq cheering on Chris Kyle. Will the Academy decide to reward Cooper for his crucial role in creating a new American legend? He's also currently starring on Broadway in The Elephant Man, sure to give him an extra boost in terms of artistic integrity. But the only problem is that the entire award season to date has focused on Michael Keaton and Eddie Redmayne. Can it switch track this late in the game?
Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game.
Benedict Cumberbatch has got to be feeling the irony that he's been essentially knocked out of competition in his very first Oscar race by an actor portraying Stephen Hawking, a role he himself played back in 2004 for the BBC. It's apparently a potent role on any size screen, as it landed Cumberbatch's first BAFTA nomination and made him a talent to watch. And watch him we did. Thanks to his iconic turn as Sherlock, also for the BBC, Cumberbatch has quickly grown a fan base that's unusual even by Hollywood standards. He's beloved by both women and men who are not only impressed with his talent and universal sex appeal, but connect with him as he seems to be as big a fan of pop culture as the rest of us. Let's face it, everyone would love to see Cumberbatch win an Oscar, but he almost definitely will not this year, which will make for yet another disappointment for the actor. He didn't quite impress in Star Trek Into Darkness. He had hardly anything to do in 12 Years a Slave or August Osage County. The Fifth Estate was an embarrassment across the board. He never got Andy Serkis level recognition for doing the motion capture for Smaug. Penguins of Madagascar bombed at the box office, and well, after we saw who else was up for the role, we're not so sure if he's a good Doctor Strange. Yes, Cumberbatch has got to start delivering on the hype. At least there's the new season of Sherlock.
Michael Keaton, Birdman.
Michael Keaton isn't just this year's comeback story, he's also the dark horse candidate. I mean, there are some pretty impressive and dynamic careers represented here, but Keaton started out as a production assistant on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in his native Pittsburgh, where he also made his debut as an actor playing bit roles. Heck, he even had to change his last name to Keaton when he came to Hollywood because, well, Michael Douglas was already taken. But while his name wasn't unique, his talent was. Keaton quickly became a comedy star, but graduated to movie star thanks to several collaborations with Tim Burton. That's right, Depp, Keaton saw him first. Beetlejuice and Batman weren't just box office hits, but became part of the pop culture landscape. Yet, at the height of it all, Keaton walked away from the Batman franchise, partially out of loyalty to Burton, and partially because he didn't like the new direction under Joel Schumacher. Of course, history would prove him right on that last one, but that still didn't help his career. And Keaton didn't even get to go out in a blaze of glory. Instead, he just faded away. But with the superhero movie not just back in style but threatening to take over Hollywood, the Academy might not be able to resist rewarding the first guy to really don spandex coming out so strongly against this disease. Then again, he is in talks for Kong Skull Island. Yeah, Hollywood never really bought into Keaton as an artist, and might still not.
Eddie Redmayne, The Theory of Everything.
Now, the only thing more appealing than a comeback or a dark horse is discovering new talent. And Eddie Redmayne sure does seem to have come out of nowhere. Yeah, he was in My Week with Marilyn and Les Miserables, but nobody was even paying attention to him back then, much less noticing the quality of his work. But now, how can you not? The Academy also loves it when an actor is able to transform themselves physically to make the actor disappear, and Redmayne certainly does that in his role as Stephen Hawking. As a matter of fact, Redmayne is the same age that Daniel Day-Lewis was back when he made My Left Foot and received his first Oscar nomination and won. The roles of Christy Brown and Stephen Hawking are very similar, and if we found ourselves a new Daniel Day-Lewis, well then. The only potential problem is Jupiter Ascending, which is said to feature a not-so-flattering performance from Redmayne, and wouldn't you know it, hits theaters the very day that the final round of voting begins. But if Redmayne doesn't win this year, he's sure to be a strong contender with his next feature, The Danish Girl, where he plays one of the first known individuals to receive sex reassignment surgery in 1930. And those are the Best Actor nominees. Can you decide on a winner? If so, be sure to vote in Beyond the Trailer's annual Oscar poll via the link in the video description. I'm Grace Randolph, and I hope you'll check out the rest of BTT's Oscar coverage right now.